My name is Shino Gbadegeshin. I'm the CEO of Gozi Micro Insurance. Continue to watch SOUQ News.
Adenike Adeyemi, Executive Director of Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoy you all to always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hey everyone, Majuli Obaje here representing Gigi. Keep watching SOUQ News, okay? Stay updated with SOUQ News.
My name is Aton Keme. I am the head of MSME Banking. Please keep watching SOUQ News and stay glued to SOUQ News.
I recommend that more and more people should watch SOUQ News because they deal with business news.
Hi, my name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the director of the Faith Institute at Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Fellow Nigerians, did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800 2255 4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806 656 4726. This message is brought to you by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission ICPC with support from MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Democracy and Development in Africa CDD.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Protect your heart health daily because every heartbeat counts literally. Hello, my name is Emmanuel Lise and this is SOUQ Health Tips. Let's talk about your heart, the tireless engine that keeps you alive. Most heart diseases are preventable through daily habits, not just medication. Eat for your heart. Choose foods rich in fiber like oats, beans, and vegetables. Use healthy fat from olive oil, avocados, and fish. Limit salt, sugar, and trans fats. Distress your arteries. Move every day. Even 30 minutes of brisk walking improves blood flow and lowers cholesterol. Your heart loves movement more than marathons. Quit smoking. Cut alcohol. Tobacco and excessive alcohol damage your heart's lining and blood vessels. There is no safe level of smoking. Quit early, live longer. Manage stress. Chronic stress raises blood pressure. Practice deep breathing instead. Stay connected with loved ones and rest well. In summary, your heart responds to how you live, not just how you treat it. Feed it well, move often, and rest deeply and love fully. I'm Emmanuel Lise, and this is Protect Your Heart. Protect Your Heart is the rhythm of your life.
For surviving, it's Gary.
The way Gary has helped me in this life.
Gary, if you have like 100 naira, you can still drink Gary. If you have 100 naira, if you take pure water, you are just drinking water. But everybody will say borrow you one thing or the other. But Gary is the cheapest, I think.
Well, it's fair for me because I think fuel is one of the things that drives the economy, everywhere. So, for the economy to move, for productions to take place, for movements or transportation to take place.
Fuel because I use fuel every day. It's food now.
Football boots. Because I'm a footballer and it's very cost and it's hard to see money nowadays as a footballer.
Food. Because if people chop, there's no any problem.
Anthony Onyemaechi Elumelu was born on the 22nd of March 1963 in Jos, North Central Nigeria, to Susanna Dominic Elumelu, originally from Delta State. Tony earned a degree in economics from Ambrose Ali University, where he laid the foundation for his future career, and then furthered his education at the University of Lagos, where he obtained a master's degree in economics. His academic journey also includes attending the Harvard Business School, where he completed the Owner of President Management program, equipping him with advanced business management skills. Tony currently serves as the chairman of Heirs Holdings, Transcorp, and United Bank for Africa, UBA, demonstrating his significant influence in the banking and investment sector. He founded the Tony Elumelu Foundation, which aims to empower African entrepreneurs through comprehensive training, mentorships, and funding opportunities. In addition to his professional achievements, he's also a family man, married to Dr. Adele Vivian Elumelu, and together they have 7 children. In 2020, his efforts were acknowledged when he was named one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world. Anthony Elumelu's net worth is estimated to be around $700 million, a testament to his successful ventures and strategic investments. Elumelu continues to be a driving force in the business world, advocating for sustainable economic growth and empowering the next generation of African entrepreneurs.
When we talk about South Sudan, Africa's youngest nation, having gained independence in 2011, we often focus on its political journey or natural resources. But there's something else that holds deep generational value in South Sudanese lives, which is cows. In South Sudan, cows aren't just animals, they are everything. They are currency, they are status, they are identity. Among groups like the Dinka and Nuer, a man's wealth isn't measured in cash, it's counted in cows. Cows pay dowries, settle disputes, mark the birth of a child, and even the death of an elder. Boys grow up in cattle camps, learning not just to herd, but to lead. Songs are written about prize bulls. People name themselves after their cows. It's love, not ownership. And no, they don't eat them. Not casually. Cows are sacred. They are milked, admired, and even mourned. Only in rare ceremonies, funerals, farming, or great misfortune is a cow killed for food. To eat one is to part with a piece of your soul. I'm Moyosore Adibi for Just Africa, only on SOUQ News TV.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Global World News on SOUQ Television, reaching you live from our studios here in Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Sarah Uzonza. Here are today's top stories. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu approves military salary increase to boost troops' welfare in the nation. Nigeria's foreign reserves climb above $52 billion. Kenya's private sector returns to growth despite rising costs. And South Korea revives rail project linking border with North Korea. And in sport news, FIFA President Infantino calls emergency meeting after World Cup rights setback. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Let's begin in Nigeria, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has positioned the country as a major player in Africa's clean energy transition with the commissioning of the continent's first renewable energy training college and a green hydrogen research and demonstration pilot plant in Kogi State. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, the president said the facility will address a growing skills gap in the renewable energy sector by producing trained professionals capable of supporting solar, wind, and other clean energy projects. The institution is expected to provide internationally recognized certifications while creating new employment pathways for young Nigerians seeking opportunities in the emerging green economy. This development could also strengthen Nigeria's position in Africa's renewable energy market by attracting investment, encouraging innovation, and reducing dependence on traditional energy sources. However, analysts say the long-term impact will depend on sustained funding, industry partnerships, and the ability to translate technical training into large-scale renewable energy deployment across communities still facing power shortages. In another news, the president has also approved a salary increase ranging between 30 and 80% for about 250,000 members of the Nigerian Armed Forces as part of efforts to improve military welfare and strengthen national security operations. The adjustment, which takes effect from the 1st of September 2026, will increase the annual military wage bill to approximately 924 billion naira. Government officials say the review reflects the sacrifices of personnel operating in challenging security environments and is designed to improve morale, recruitment, and retention within the armed forces. Security experts also say better remuneration could enhance troop commitment and operational effectiveness, especially as Nigeria continues to confront multiple security challenges. However, they note that welfare improvements must be combined with modern equipment, intelligence capability, and effective management systems to achieve lasting improvements in national defense. Moving on from that story, where Dangote Petroleum Refinery is preparing for a major expansion drive through a planned $5 billion initial public offering aimed at increasing production capacity at its Lagos facility. The proposed share sale, expected to conclude in October, will support expansion of the refinery to 1.4 million barrels per day, potentially making it one of the largest refinery operations in Africa. The company says the move will strengthen Nigeria's refining capacity, support petroleum export, and create wider investment opportunities in the energy sector. Industry analysts also say the expansion could reduce Africa's dependence on imported refined petroleum products while strengthening Nigeria's role in global energy markets. The success of the public offering, however, will depend on investor confidence, market conditions, and the refinery's ability to maintain efficient production at a competitive level. Now, Nigeria's foreign reserves have climbed above $52.5 billion, reaching their highest level in 17 years, as the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says recent monetary reforms are beginning to improve economic stability. The Apex Bank attributed the increase to improved foreign exchange management, moderating inflation pressures, and renewed investor confidence. Officials say stronger reserves provide greater capacity to support the economy, stabilize the currency market, and improve confidence among international investors. But economists say the reserve growth is a positive indicator, but caution that its benefits will depend on how effectively the gains translate into lower inflation, stronger purchasing power, and increased economic activity. Sustaining the improvement will require continued reforms, increased exports, and stronger domestic production across the globe. Now, more than 85 million Nigerians remain without reliable access to grid electricity, according to the Rural Electrification Agency, REA, which says renewable energy expansion and local manufacturing will be critical to closing the country's power gap. The agency adds that increased investment in solar equipment production and battery system manufacturing could reduce dependence on imported energy technology, conserve foreign exchange, and create jobs within the domestic energy market. A new partnership aimed at assembling and producing renewable energy components locally is expected to support faster electrification, particularly in rural communities. Energy experts say decentralized renewable solutions could provide quicker access to electricity for underserved populations while supporting small businesses and economic development. Challenges including financing, infrastructure limitations, and maintenance capacity remain key factors that could affect the pace of the expansion. Moving on from that story, where the Nigeria Customs Service, NCS, has recruited 3,852 personnel from more than 573,000 applicants as part of a workforce expansion program aimed at improving efficiency and strengthening border operations. The service also announced plans to introduce an annual recruitment cycle to improve workforce planning, ensure timely replacement of retiring officers, and provide more predictable employment opportunities for qualified Nigerians. Officials say the recruitment drive will support technology-driven customs operations, improve revenue collection, and enhance trade facilitation. Analysts note that the effectiveness of the expansion will depend on proper training, digital transformation, and ensuring that increased manpower translates into faster and more transparent customs services. You're still watching the world news on SOUQ News Television. We'll take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll move on to African stories as well as foreign stories. Just stay with us.
When you visit Lagos for the first time and Google fun or recreational places in the city, at the top of that list will be Freedom Park. Located in Lagos Island on Broad Street, Freedom Park over the years has become home to the Nigerian arts and the culture at large. From annual big shows like the Lagos Theatre Festival, celebration at the Lagos Poetry Festival, to local festivals that celebrate literature, music and arts. Freedom Park is one of the most visited recreational sites in Lagos, for both local and tourist people alike. A place to mingle, unwind, or simply just have fun. Freedom Park, however, hasn't always been a place of fun and games. It has a history that dates to 1861, when Lagos was made a British colony. In 1885, Freedom Park was built as a fortified prison from imported bricks. It was referred to as Her Majesty's Broad Street Prison. Some prominent political prisoners were held in the prison, people such as Herbert Macaulay, Michael Imodu, and Obafemi Awolowo. In 1979, Her Majesty's Broad Street Prison was destroyed, reduced to a dumping ground. It was later rebuilt in the 1990s, celebrated in 2010, Nigeria's 50th Independence Day. Freedom Park still holds a bit of its history within its walls. In the museum where there are pictures and artifacts. Some of the old prison facilities have been converted into leisure facilities that people visit and enjoy today.
Fellow Nigerians, did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800 2255 4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806 656 4726. This message is brought to you by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) with support from MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Democracy and Development in Africa (CDD).
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Welcome back. Moving on to Africa, where Kenya's private sector has returned to modest growth despite continued pressure from inflation, rising operating costs, and supply chain challenges affecting businesses across the economy. The latest Purchasing Managers Index rose to 51.3 in July from 50 in June, signaling an improvement in business activity and a gradual recovery in demand. Economists say the increase reflects renewed confidence among companies as an economic condition shows signs of stabilizing. However, businesses continue to face challenges linked to production costs, logistics constraints, and consumer purchasing power. Analysts say sustained growth will depend on further inflation control, improved supply chains, and policies that encourage private sector investment and job creation. Now, on the foreign scene, South Korea has announced plans to restart work on a railway project that could eventually reconnect the country with North Korea, reviving a cross-border infrastructure initiative that has remained suspended for nearly a decade. The restoration of Gyeongwon Line near the demilitarized zone is expected to begin following government approval. Officials say the project represents a long-term investment in regional connectivity and preserves opportunities for future cooperation between Seoul and Pyongyang, despite continued political tensions. Analysts say the railway could deliver economic benefit through improved transportation links and regional development if diplomatic conditions improve. However, progress remains closely tied to security relations on the Korean Peninsula, where military tensions continue to limit cooperation between both countries. Now, Taiwan has launched its annual 10-day Hangguang military exercise to test defense readiness and strengthen its ability to respond to potential security threats. The drills involve fighter aircraft dispersal, emergency Navy deployment, and simulations designed to test military coordination under crisis conditions. For the first time, the exercise also includes temporary restrictions on internet access to replicate possible wartime disruptions and strengthen cyber resilience. Taiwanese officials say the exercises are aimed at improving operational flexibility and preparing forces for unexpected scenarios. The drills come amid heightened tensions across the Taiwan Strait, with security analysts warning that increased military activity in the region could raise the risk of further confrontation. Now let's move on to India, where refiners have expanded crude oil purchases by securing 5 million barrels of supplies from Oman and West Africa as the country seeks to maintain stable energy supplies amid changing global market conditions. Mangalore Refinery and Petrochemicals acquired 1 million barrels of Oman crude alongside additional purchases from Angola and Congo, while Indian Oil Corporation secured 4 million barrels of West African crude. The transactions highlight India's continued reliance on diverse international suppliers to support its large refining industry. Energy analysts say the strategy reduces supply risk and strengthens India's energy security by avoiding dependence on a limited number of sources. But fluctuations in global oil prices and geopolitical disruptions remain major factors that could affect future fuel costs and economic stability. Now, Indonesia has extended a 200 trillion rupiah funding program for state-owned banks until July 2027 and announced plans for an additional 200 trillion rupiah injection to stimulate economic growth. The policy will increase total government support for state banks to 400 trillion, with authorities aiming to improve liquidity, expand lending, and support businesses seeking financing. The government says the move is part of efforts to achieve a 6% economic growth target. Economic experts say increased credit availability could support investment, job creation, and business expansion. However, concerns remain over balancing economic stimulus with financial stability, particularly amid ongoing discussions between government authorities and the central bank over liquidity management. Now, India is also considering a new consumer levy on cooking gas and natural gas users to finance a proposed $42 billion strategic fuel reserve aimed at strengthening national energy security. The plan would expand India's strategic storage system beyond crude oil for the first time, creating reserves designed to protect against future supply disruptions. Officials estimate the proposed charges could generate about $1.5 billion annually to support storage infrastructure and fuel stockpiling. While supporters argue the program could reduce vulnerability during global energy crisis, consumer groups have raised concerns about the possible impact on household energy costs. The proposal remains under review as authorities assess the balance between national security needs and affordability for consumers. Still on the foreign scene, China has formally protested Japan's latest defense report, accusing Tokyo of exaggerating security threats and making inappropriate comments regarding Taiwan. Japan's annual defense assessment warned that China's military activities around Taiwan have increased and said the balance of power across the Taiwan Strait is shifting. Beijing rejected the claims, maintaining that Taiwan is part of its territory despite opposition from Taiwanese authorities. The dispute highlights growing strategic competition between the two Asian powers and reflects wider concerns over regional stability. Experts say continued military and diplomatic tensions could affect trade, investment confidence, and security calculations across the Indo-Pacific region. We move on to the United States, where the Army is reportedly facing pressure to rebuild its stockpile of precision long-range missiles after months of conflict with Iran significantly reduced available supplies. Reports indicate that key weapons, including Army tactical missile systems and newer precision strike missiles, have been heavily used, raising questions about future readiness and the ability to respond quickly to emerging conflicts. Defense analysts say the situation highlights the importance of maintaining adequate weapons reserve and strengthening domestic production capacity. The development could also influence future defense spending decisions as the United States reviews its military preparedness. Meanwhile, the European Union has approved the release of 1.4 billion euros generated from interest earned on frozen Russian assets to support Ukraine's defense efforts as the war with Russia continues. The European Commission said the funds came from returns generated by Russian central bank assets frozen under sanctions after the invasion of Ukraine. Officials stressed that only the interest earned is being used, while the original assets remain frozen under existing restrictions. The latest financial support package reinforces the European Union's commitment to Ukraine's military needs while maintaining pressure on Moscow through economic sanctions. However, the move continues to raise broader international discussions over the use of frozen foreign assets during prolonged conflict and the legal implications of such measures. Now, Hungary is facing increased pressure on its electricity system after households and businesses reduced power consumption in response to a government appeal during a severe heat wave and drought. The country's only nuclear power plant has reduced operations significantly after record low water levels on the Danube River affected cooling capacity. With temperatures forecast to reach between 40 and 42 degrees Celsius, authorities introduced emergency measures including reduced industrial consumption, suspension of some freight rail operations, and limits on non-essential lighting. Energy officials say the voluntary reductions help protect grid stability during a period of extreme weather stress. The crisis highlights growing concerns over how climate change could affect energy infrastructure, forcing countries to invest in more resilient power systems and diversified energy sources. Now, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization has warned that the world could face another wave of food inflation as geopolitical conflicts and extreme weather conditions threaten global food production and supply chains. The agency said ongoing instability linked to conflicts in Iran and Ukraine, combined with the impact of the El Niño weather patterns, could increase production costs and reduce agricultural output. These measures may affect food availability and push prices higher in international markets. Economists say vulnerable households in developing countries are likely to face the greatest impact if food prices rise again. They warn that governments may need stronger food security policies, improved agricultural investment, and more resilient supply networks to reduce exposure to the future shocks. This is still the world news, and we'll take a very quick break. When we're back, we'll move straight into sport news, so stay with us.
My name is Shino Ogbadegeshi. I'm the CEO Gozi Micro Insurance. Continue to watch SOUQ News.
Adenike Adeyemi, Executive Director of Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoin you all to always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hey everyone, Majuli Obaje here representing Gigi. Keep watching SOUQ News, okay? Stay updated with SOUQ News.
My name is Aton Keme. I am the head of MSME banking. Please keep watching SOUQ News and stay glued to SOUQ News.
I recommend that more and more people should watch SOUQ News because they deal with business news.
Hi, my name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the director of the Faith Institute at Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Afrobeats is a classic overnight success story, except it didn't happen overnight.
I'm happy to be here. One of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things, but we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. But hip-hop, it never dies. What's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part, Africa, and they're all Nigerian. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made.
Moving on to sport news, where FIFA President Gianni Infantino is set to hold an emergency meeting with senior officials following the collapse of a proposed plan to sell commercial rights linked to the FIFA World Cup. The proposal, presented to FIFA's 211 member associations, faced strong opposition from several stakeholders who questioned the structure and implications of the new commercial rights model. The setback has increased scrutiny of FIFA's leadership and future revenue strategies. Sport analysts say the organization must rebuild confidence among member associations while exploring sustainable commercial opportunities. The outcome of the discussions could influence FIFA's financial direction and its approach to managing one of the world's largest sporting events. Finally, Arsenal have reportedly agreed a £75 million deal with Newcastle United to sign Brazilian midfielder and Newcastle captain Bruno Guimaraes as the club moves closer to completing the transfer. The midfielder has been granted permission to undergo a medical examination, with the move expected to strengthen Arsenal's midfield options ahead of the new season. Meanwhile, Newcastle are set to receive a significant financial boost from the transfer fee if the agreement is finalized. Football analysts say the deal reflects Arsenal's ambition to compete at the highest level by adding proven quality to their squad. For Newcastle, the potential transfer provides financial flexibility that could support future recruitment and squad development. And that's a wrap on the news this afternoon. But before we go, here's a quick recap of today's top stories. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved military salary increase to boost troop welfare. Nigeria's foreign reserves climbed above $52 billion. Kenya's private sector has returned to growth despite rising costs. South Korea revives rail project linking border with North Korea. And in sport news, FIFA President Gianni Infantino called for emergency meeting after World Cup rights setback. Thank you for watching. Remember to follow us across all of our social media platforms at SOUQ News TV and SOUQ Digital. I am Sarah Owusu-Ansah. Good afternoon.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Afrobeats is a classic overnight success story, except it didn't happen overnight.
I'm happy to be here. One of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things, but we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. But hip-hop, it never dies. What's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part. Okay. And they're all Nigerian. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made. Congratulations on the new channel, and I'm happy to be here. The Omniverse is imagined as a collaboration platform So it's a platform that, as the name suggests, is bringing together ecosystems. So it's like an ecosystem of ecosystems, aggregating aggregators and community leaders who are able to bring together their communities together to a platform. So the summit in itself was, while it was a big event and a heavy lift for us and the team, and I have to thank our team of volunteers. We had a team of about 40 full-time core volunteers that delivered the Omniverse. So one of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. So we will be launching our digital platform. We have about 70 community partners already, including a number of government institutions. So to answer the question, there's public-private partnership within the Omniverse. There's regulators, there's government departments and agencies, there's ministries. But more importantly, there's diverse sectors across the economy coming together with the understanding that tech is the biggest enabler for development across all sectors, and that if we can drive collaboration, we can scale. So that's the ethos of the Omniverse. Collaboration is the superpower that we're trying to bring to the fore. That operating in silos has not paid us, but if we come together, understand that technology affects every sector, then we think the Omniverse is here to stay. Nigerian companies, Nigerian associations, global associations, and when I say associations, it's from things like the Nigerian digital artists who have 3,000 members, right, in the NFT community, the Visual Artists of Nigeria, the Society of Nigerian Art, the AfriLabs, which is the biggest innovation hub network on the continent in 54 African countries, ISN Hubs, which is our core partner, which is the biggest innovation network in Nigeria, innovation support network, with something like 189 hubs in 30 states in Nigeria. And these are primarily private sector driven platforms, from aggregators who are major promoters of major platforms such as Lola Shone from Ake Book Festival, Choma Ode from AFRIF. We have a lot of these people who are either on our advisory board, they are co-chairs, or they are community partners, because what we're building is beyond any one person. It's about collaboration both at the top level, but through the line down to the bottom. The role of my council is, first of all, to be the primary sort of mandate is to infuse Nigerian arts and culture into everything the Nigerian government does, at state level, at federal level, and to input it into schools, education, and everywhere. So in that sense, to make arts and culture functional and front line everywhere. This will involve the foreign minister, making sure it's embedded in our foreign policy, in our embassies, in the government policy, in every sector. So we're literally going to be reaching out to collaborate to all government at all levels, all other agencies, MDAs, ministries, federal government and state government institutions, to see how we can find common ground. Because obviously we don't necessarily have a lot of money, but I feel we represent the real crude oil of Nigeria, which is the IP that the Nigerian people create. That IP they create, even if you valued it at $100 per Nigerian, that'd be something like $20 billion. And I believe each Nigerian is worth more than $100. So my own estimation, it's limitless, right? So what we have to do is we have to rethink how we imagine ourselves, rethink our own possibilities, and therefore from there, take off by pushing that agenda. But it's not an agenda for me alone. It's actually an agenda for all of Nigeria. Because when we put it front and center, it means we're putting the Nigerians front and center. And we put the Nigerians front and center, I think we win. I think historically you will find that the federal government and the governments of Nigeria have not funded heavily these sectors. They funded the heavy industries, the military-industrial complex, heavy infrastructure. But the funny thing is, whilst Africans will say, oh, this is grammar, what are you people talking about in arts and culture? What you find is that the West, right, for 500 years has dominated the world. How have they dominated the world? Through narrative. Okay, but what do we complain about? Narrative. But we haven't invested in narrative. So if you don't invest in telling your own story and owning your own story, why are you complaining about how you're perceived? So I think it's counterintuitive, and it's about time. And I'm very pleased and very happy that Nigeria now has a full ministry focused on this one specific issue. Because the truth of the matter is, We are older than time itself. We come before Christ. We come before the entire Western hegemony. We are actually the origins of everything, of innovation, of technology, of science, of education. But if we don't believe it ourselves and we don't express it, how can you expect anybody else to believe it? Well, I think the difference is that as a creative entrepreneur, there's really nothing to stop me, right? I can take all the risks. I don't have to worry about anything. I can decide, win or lose, we're doing this thing. But of course, as a public official, I have rules and regulations I have to go by. I have a boss. I report to people, and I have KPIs I have to deliver on. So there's a big difference in that regard. There's a difference in bureaucracy, maybe a difference in response time, but there certainly will not be a difference in my personality. So I think it's really about how you perceive what these things are. For me, it's an elevation, obviously, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to serve at this level, to do something that I believe in, to do something which is that I believe in Nigeria. I believe in Nigerians. I know our ability. I think we are world class. I don't like all this, it's good for Nigeria. I hate that. So I think for me, that is what's important. And to have the opportunity to try to deliver on some of the things we've been trying to do from the private sector for the last 25, 30 years. So there's nothing new for me in that regard. But of course, the position is new. Being in the government is new. But with a lot of support from friends, family, professional colleagues, and other people in the industry, plus my co-DGs and the minister, hopefully we'll do well. We're under the Ministry of Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy. And that's very, very powerful because it means Nigeria itself has taken a decision to own the agenda. Hopefully I have a good time, have a good tenure, and I don't make any enemies. And well, for me, if you leave a place and the people that works with you have good things to say, if they feel better about their work and about themselves, and if the brand that you're now leading is now appreciated by the people for what it does and how it brings it to the table, then I've done my job. I think Afrobeats has already established the fact that we are originally Nigerian, or some people say arrogantly Nigerian. And it was intentional. We built this thing, and it was intentional because we're not going to ever apologize for being Nigerian. We're not going to apologize for being black. We're not going to apologize for being African. And that's front of mind. Because, you know, when you do show business, you have to validate it. So we validated the show maybe at least 10 years ago. So now we're in the business phase. So when you see the exit of Maven Records with UMG, you see Iwaju coming, Comic Republic with Universal Studios, you begin to understand where we're building to. And when you think about where we're coming from, where there was no infrastructure, no funding, no support, and I think part of what we hope to do with government at this time is, because we come from the sector, we can collaborate with everybody in the sector. We don't have to talk at them, we talk with them, we build with them. And together, I think it's limitless. You know, Nigerians like to say the sky is your limit. I think it's limitless. There's no limit to the whole situation. One of the things I talk about all the time is what's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part. That's a lack of us delving into the richest thing we have, which is our mythology. Our mythology is endless. If you look at the Marvel universe and the DC Comics universe, the Orisha are basically the same thing as the X-Men. But the Orisha, some people are still afraid of them, whereas the X-Men are north of $100 billion in revenue. So I think we have to understand and reimagine our mythology, our history, our stories, and how to bring them to the world in new formats. It's not just film. It could be live action, it could be gaming. There's so many different ways to action these things. And when you do them, and you do them right at the right level, as Iwaju is beginning to show you, our stories have always been world-class. Our characters are world-class. What we have not had is the resolve and the confidence to finish. I think that is coming now. For me, I think it's still the fact there's more to do. My young brother, Misan Harriman, is nominated at the Oscars, the first Nigerian nominated for a director for a short film, because I know what that will do for the next generation of Nigerian directors, right? So for me, there's still more to do. There's so much more to do. When we see our first $100 million movie in the global box office, we need to celebrate it. When you win a Grammy, you need to celebrate it, because these are stages that we were locked out of. The technology and new media has allowed us to evade these spaces we were not even invited to. But now we're beginning to enter them and dominate. So even when you do that, you have to do it with grace and dignity, not with arrogance. And that's something that some of us have to learn. But the truth of the matter is, the greatness of the Nigerians is just beginning to come. And I feel strongly that this century, we're already in the African century, And the soft power that we hold here is what will define the future of the century. I think the most important thing, the first thing to think about is IP protection, because the minister is working strongly, intellectual property. The US, if you take the state of California, California is probably in the top 5 economies in the world, and 70% of the economy of California is driven by intellectual property, by 2 core industries, Silicon Valley, which is coming out of Stanford University, and Hollywood, which of course is the music and film industry. Now, that is for anybody that says, oh, what is this thing that they're talking about? We don't understand it, it's grammar. The grammar is the money, okay? The narrative is the money, the story is the money. So any of your children or your nieces or nephews that have talent, visual art, performing art, arts and crafts, adire, all of these things that we've been taking as vocation, they are occupations. They are extremely valuable. And with digital technology and platforms, we can scale these things and generate incredible revenue. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things. I think Nigerian cuisine is going to be on the level of Chinese and Indian cuisine worldwide in the next 10 years. And if you understand that, then you understand that the Indian restaurants in the UK, as far back as 2009, were generating more money than the UK automobile, shipping, and metal, steel industries combined. That's just restaurants on the high streets. So that is why we must invest and we must put our energy into this sector, because this sector will provide the jobs, provide the revenues, and provide the global dollars that everybody's looking for. Oh, I think it hasn't even started. The Maven Records deal is giving you an indication of that. The reason why that valuation of $150 to $200 million has been done is because of the upside potential of Rema, who's 23, and Arya Star, who's 20. So they're looking at the fact that in 10 years' time, these guys could have generated $1 billion each. Do you understand? So it's a safe bet when you already have a built global talent at 23, when it normally takes years and years and a lot of money to build the talent, right? So what has happened is that we Nigerians have been able to build global talents, global following, with a percentage of the money it takes people in other places to do the same thing. So because of that, the value and the valuation is much bigger, right? So I would say the Afrobeats wave, it's not even a wave. It's been going for 15 years already. So when you encounter it is when you encounter it. If you think it's an overnight success in 2024, that means you were not around in 2008. 2006, I'd say, is a good time to think when the sort of continental, because we took Africa first, working very closely and collaboratively with South Africans, Ghanaians, and Kenyans. Then we started going into Asia and the UK and America on the black, what I call the Nigerian chitlin circuits, moving through the Nigerian communities. And then by about 2010, begin to come into the mainstream with Oliver Twist and all these kind of records that break globally. And now you have gold records from Oliver Twist in 14 countries. And now, in a situation now where an artist like Ashake can come out of Lagos, speaking a language that is not known to most of these people, and generating, selling out arenas. To become an arena artist, let me tell you, there are only 4 or 5 arena artists from Africa, and they're all Nigerian. Don't take it for granted. I think a lot of people feel that, but what I should tell the rest of the country is that the rest of the continent is also trying to get to Lagos as well, right? It's not just the rest of Nigeria. From Accra, from Luanda, from everywhere on this continent, they're trying to get into Lagos, because if they can break in Lagos, they can break anywhere else in the world. But what I would say is this, from the perspective of my agency, our purview is national and global. We have 10 regional offices. We'll be visiting all of them. And our duty is to spotlight and showcase everybody. So we can't deal with just Lagos. And I think as we go forward, people begin to see the activations and plans coming. But the easiest way to do it, and the way we're going to do our best to do it, is to provide digital platforms to give everybody the opportunity to be seen. Because in this world, you know, we live in the attention economy. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made. But I know for a fact there's significant talent in all parts of Nigeria. I was watching last week, a gentleman called Ehi Benite was showing me all this content from Jos with these guys rapping, serious stuff. They're rapping in Hausa, they were doing ciphers. And then he was like, what do we do about these guys? I said, just keep pushing them because there's an audience for everything. There's an audience for everything. Don't be worried about that. There's an audience for every single thing, including the thing that you may be doing in your bedroom, but you think is not important. Somebody's interested in it. My label was a hip hop label. I even refused to sign singers. There's almost every singer you could name was trying to get us to sign them. And I used to do it based on, can you rap? If you can't drop a freestyle, don't bother, right? It was that simple. And we helped all the other singers get signed to labels that we thought could help them and develop them in that direction. Hip-hop has changed, and obviously it's generational, right? So hip-hop has changed, and everybody approaches music from their own generation. Like, oh, I like this kind of hip-hop or that kind of hip-hop. What I feel is that Afrobeats became overwhelming and overwhelmed every other genre here. So the hip-hop guys had to fight for relevance, but the best ones always rise to the top. That's just the simple truth. So I don't worry about that. And I've heard enough guys. I even saw there was a whole Instagram series some guy was doing about a year ago where he was just bringing out fresh rappers every day from Enugu, from Jos, from Kaduna, from Kano, from Benin. I love it. I think they're incredible MCs in Nigeria. A lot of times they need to focus on doing better songs, right? Not just being a freestyle rapper. If you want to get paid to rap, you've got to do better songs. You can't just do the freestyles. And that's something they've got to think about. You've got to balance the commercial side of it with the business side of it. And what has happened is, to a large extent, the commercial side has won because you've got to pay bills. But hip-hop, it never dies. I think, first of all, obviously from the perspective I'm sitting in government, so I'm not in a position to tell government what to do or what not to do. But what I can say is this, is that the agency, my agency will be the home for the music industry, for performing arts, visual arts, fashion, gaming, recreation, festivals, culinary arts, film and television. We're kind of a convening agency for the ministry. So we have a lot of work to do, a lot of places to touch, but we're also going to collaborate with all the other MDAs in the ministry and heavily with the private sector and the developmental sector. Because to answer the question, I've worked in all these spaces for, it's not quite 40 years, but it's a long time. I've worked in all these spaces for a long time. In this situation, we have positive relationships to bring to the table to change the approach and to change the destination of where we hope to go. What I will say as well is that the reality of it is we're just beginning the journey. And there are no magic wands. I'm not going to wave a wand and everything's going to be fixed overnight, and neither is anybody else. But we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. And that's really important for me to say that, because people feel there are gatekeepers, but in my agency, there are no gatekeepers, right? We're not interested in whether you have the biggest reputation or the smallest reputation. We're interested in the value you're bringing to the table. Because the truth of the matter is Nigeria is massive. There's a lot of stuff going on in Nigeria. We're going to try to aggregate those things and bring them into one platform so that even as Nigerians, we can know what we're doing. Because to be honest, if you don't know and you don't follow, there's no way you can know 90% of what is happening even in Lagos before you talk about the rest of the 36 states in the FCT. So for me, from my perspective, the journey continues. The objective remains the same. We want to see Nigeria win. But in order to do it this time, I don't think government should ever be disinterested in the nature of the industries in which it is operating. But we also don't need to be owning the space. We want to enable, partner, collaborate, and see how we can push people to do more. Because there are already people doing a lot, and maybe they haven't been recognized, they haven't been brought out, they haven't been celebrated. All these kind of things we can help to do, help to get news stories and people to bring these things to the fore, right? Like I said today, a Nigerian who was nominated for an Oscar as a director, the first Nigerian. It's up tonight at the Oscars. It's not news in Nigeria. That's a problem. We have to be able to tell the stories that are of greatness of our people, because if you don't do that, you can't inspire anybody.
You have a job offer, they are going to pay you 800K per month, but you work 7 days a week, except public holiday. Or you earn 500K per month, but you work 5 times a week. Which one do you think you will go for?
I think that 7 days a week will be better. Because of the Nigerian stress and everything. The stress in Nigeria now is crazy.
Well, I'll definitely go for the one of 500K because my mental health is very, very important. I mean, what's the purpose of working when you don't have the time to spend the money you're working for or have some good time with your family? So my mental health is going to suffer.
I'll go for the one of 500K because the pay is okay, same as one of 800K, and I have to work 5 days, so I get to rest, and I'll have more peace of mind. Like, that's just it.
Okay, that's actually very tricky. Considering the Nigerian economic system, I would go for the 800 along with side hustles and all that because it's something that could cover up for a lot of things.
I'll go for the 500K one because I like my peace of mind. I like rest days. How many public holidays do we have in a year? It matters. It matters. At least I'm guaranteed my Saturdays and Sundays peace of mind. Not that you'll be calling me to work on Sunday because there's no, I don't want that.
Probably go for the 500K a week. That's more sustainable. I can't work 7 days a week all my life. I'm human. I need to sleep.
I think the 500K because at least I still need time to rest for myself. So yeah, I think I'll prefer the 500K.
I'll go for the 500K for 5 days because I don't think I can do the 7 days per week, just working non-stop. It's very exhausting for me because I think as humans we need sometimes to relax, take a weekend off, play basketball, something, but I can't do the 7 days per week. I prefer the 5 days.
I'm from Akwa Ibom State, Eke local government precisely. My primary school at Akwa Ibom Church Primary School, so young Eket, where I grew up in the early 70s. I moved into government secondary school at Eket. I finished my school set in 1981. It was a jolly good experience. Before I moved over to Lagos, where I did my higher school, Federal School of Art and Science, Victoria Island, and from where I took my JAM, then I got admission to study English and literary studies in the great University of Calabar. Growing up was fun, education was fun. We enjoyed the bits of life, all we went through there, from primary to secondary school, the dormitory life, my friends, my colleagues. Coming over to Lagos was quite an experience. My first time in Lagos, arriving after a tortuous journey back then. Went over to VI, studied along with some blue chip children, Federal School of Art and Science then, as it was called, just where you have the law school now. It was quite an experience. And back to University of Calabar, we had quite a drill, the studies of English language and literature. I happen to have specialized in literature, where we did a thorough work on all the spheres of literature, the landscape of literature. We almost exhausted it with key professors and lecturers. Talking about Afro-American literature, Caribbean literature, South African literature, Russian literature, literature of social protests. Then we come back to African literature, where we explored the whole landscape. African literature, African drama, African prose, and storytelling, folk tales, and trickster stories. It was a huge experience that changed my life. And coming over here, finished our youth service, did my youth service in Imo State then. We had respect as corporate. We were well treated. And came over back to Lagos, looking for work in Lagos, 1988, 89. We started a magazine in Lagos here. We call it the Hits magazine. It was tailored after the Right On magazine. It was a music magazine. We started that stuff in Lagos here, and then we couldn't sustain it because of the finances. Luckily for me, I was able to run, got a job with the bank, and then I started a marketing aspect for the bank. From the bank, merchant bank, when the bank went under, I decided to go solo. That brought me to the book industry. I have always have this passion for books, right from my primary school to my secondary school. My mom was a teacher, a successful teacher. We were encouraged to read books. We used to hide ourselves in the libraries, my local government libraries. So when I got admitted to the University of Calabar, all our long vacations, we were always found in the library. Of course, there was no GSM then. The library was our contact space, where we go to the libraries to get information about when the school is going to resume, because apart from news, radio, and all that, you may not know when the school is going to resume. But when you meet with your friends, you know, in the library there, we meet with some other undergraduates, Uniben, SOUQ, Ife, some of our friends who were studying there, who came home for long vacations. I mean, we interact with them, and before you know it, we hear, you people are going to resume this, that, and that's how my passion for books get strengthened. When we resume schools, we exchange novels. We look for novels to read. We look for African writers series. We look for Headley Chase. We look for exotic books. We started collecting books. When we finished reading, we shared the books to our friends. We talked about the books, and from there, we were able to explore the world. We sat down in the library and we knew what was happening in the apartheid South Africa. I did so much about the history of South Africa. I read about the Zulu aftermath. I read about the Mau Mau Wars, the challenge of colonialism, the pro-colonial times. I had a good teacher who taught me history in the secondary school, Miss Tooten. He did a yeoman's job. He led us through the whole spectrum of West African history. West African history by Adekunle Aromolaran. We talked about the Oyo Empire, Songhai Empire, Timbuktu, the Great Mali Empire. You know, all these things stir up our curiosities. And since then, we never departed from books. We have worked in close association with the Institute of Public Analysts of Nigeria, IPAN. These are people that do analysis for products, water analysis, analysis of waste and effluent, radioactive activity, food and drug analysis. We have worked with quality control experts across the industries. We have worked with establishments where they do root crop research. We have worked with the pharmaceutical research industries, medical research bodies, malaria research establishments, cancer research establishment. These people look for us for specialized information in the management of special disease and treatment. Treatment in oncology. People in the area of traditional medicine, alternative medicine, natural medicine. They look for, we are partnering with the Nigerian Institute of Science and Technology Institute of Natural Medicine in Victoria Island to work with them in the area of the development of herbal medicines in Nigeria. We have books we partner with them to promote. You see, medicinal plants from eastern Nigeria, medicinal plants from the northeast, medicinal plants from the southwest, medicinal plants from the south-south. We market these books for people who want to know. No, we are working now on the production in partnership with relevant institute of the Nigerian pharmacopoeia. We know about the British pharmacopoeia. We know about the American pharmacopoeia, the Japanese pharmacopoeia, and herbology. We are working towards having the Nigerian pharmacopoeia. This is going to be a compendium of materials that talks about medicinal plants of value, medicinal plants that have healing properties. We are working with specialists, pharmacognosy, phytochemists, and by God's grace, this is going to come into fruition. We partner with the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria and all kinds of health bodies that we can't even mention. So many of them invite us for their annual conferences, which is rotated across different states in different years across the nation. So we've traveled, and in most of these conferences, you have experts, deans of faculties, heads of departments that reach out to us with informations in books and journals that are relevant for their students and for their practitioners. We don't only market reference books and textbooks in all fields of study, all fields of human endeavor. We also market relevant journals, research journals, peer-reviewed journals in sociology, in psychology, in law, research journals in oncology, in public health, community medicine, in nursing, research journals in nutrition and dietetics, food science, international relations. We partner with the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Victoria Island. We have key journals in world affairs, African affairs, and these journals will help them to distribute to all relevant establishments and departments that need it. So it has been a great job, very taxing and exciting. Each book added a new spectrum of learning and knowledge for us. When we got into literature and poetry, we explored a whole lot. When we went into American history, the black history, we read about the nation of Islam. We read about Elijah Muhammad. We knew the struggle they had to go through, racism and all that stuff. And it really inspired us to see what we can do to add value to knowledge. And it has brought us this far. So it's been passion, not really born out of the money or whatever. Of course, when you have value to present, you'll be appreciated in many ways. We have had sundry appreciations from establishments, from institutes across West Africa and beyond. You know, we partner with international publishers all over the world to source cutting-edge materials for our clients. We take pains to go through a lot of materials that come in here. Whether there are new materials or whether there are new, we believe that when you are doing research, there is what is called cross-cultural research. You start from the past and then come to the present. Research in any field, what happened before, where we were before, and where we are now, and then we look forward. So we have a lot of materials for our clients and we are on an endless journey of search. When we started this business, we came face to face with HIV. We go after books on HIV and AIDS. We got them across to our clients and our readers. As we went further, Ebola came and we sourced for materials for medical virologists. It's a virus. Clinical virology, we gave the books to them and they were very happy. We got the materials. We did what is called public health awareness to get people assured that these things are preventable. That is not the end of life. You see, when you have the information, you have the confidence to practice, you are not scared of whatever. Whatever is coming in probably had happened before. All we need is for new information to combat the emerging diseases. There are journals that deal with emerging infectious diseases. We provide these materials for practitioners, and it has served the purpose over the years. The secret of my success has been the impartation of specialist knowledge, tertiary knowledge for professionals. You know, education and learning is a lifelong journey. People talk about continuous professional development. For instance, in the media world and the real estate world, we have partnered with people who are doing media studies, you know, the print media, the electronic media, mass communication as a whole. We have provided a lot of materials for them. So now we have specialists in the media, we have special editors, screenwriters, short story writers, photojournalists, you know, and we provide them these materials. In the real estate world, we have attended conferences of real estate practitioners, providing cutting-edge materials for them in real estate development, information technology, property development, property law. All these materials assist them in the practice of real estate. We have gone far more. We work with people, the QS, quantity surveyors, town planners, environmental managers, people who do environmental audits, environmental impact assessment, you know, space planning. We work with them, you know. And these materials we get from all across the world. If you are practicing in this area and you need materials to improve your services and the value you are creating, you will need us. We have a whole list of experts in different fields that reach us when they have challenges, when they have need for special information to solve specific problems. They reach out to us. They call, yeah, a bookman, all range. We need books in this area. For instance, we had the former Minister of Health, that great woman, Gonja Iweala. She will always call us, look, all range, we need books on international economics. And we used to give her books on international economics. And many other experts like that. We have books for people who are doing radioactive interventions, people who are doing environmental management, people who are doing analysis, food analysts, all over the spectrum. We provide books for them. Food engineering, we give them books on food contaminants, food additives, These are not books to just go to anywhere and get. We have been able to interface with them. Nigerian Institute of Food Science and Technology. Reading has a tremendous impact on influence on human life. It helps you to appreciate issues, ideas, views, and opinion. It makes you an active participant in intellectual discourse and in intellectual environment. You are not ignorant of what is happening around you. It makes you a leader. Yes, not all readers are leaders, but most impactful leaders are readers. Books will change you. Books will empower you. Books will give you self-confidence. When I sit down with architects and I'm discussing, I talked about landscape architecture. I talked about interior design. They begin to wonder whether I studied architecture. Then I started talking with oncologists, gynecologists, maybe gynecological oncologists. They think that maybe I studied medicine. I didn't do no medicine. I've been able to read some books, interface with them. I have attended their workshops, so many, and I've read their books. Some books that come to me, I try to go through the introduction and the preface. I try to. Books in all areas. You understand? I was looking at a book on anesthesiology, and I found out that no serious surgery could be carried out without an anesthetist. Surgical intervention, is it abdominal surgery? Is it cancer, oncology? You need a professional. These are people that manage the airways. When the patient has been numbed with drugs for the intervention, the surgical experience, maybe for 3, 4, 5 hours, there has to be a resuscitation. And this is the specialist area for anesthetists. Not all doctors can handle that. You are doing cesarean section. You are doing ENT surgery. You need them. So you have a team of doctors that will invariably handle a serious, for instance, at the orthopedic hospital, we want to do amputation. You have the plaster people, you have the hematologist, you have the anesthesiologist, and you have the surgeon, who is a very good orthopedic surgeon to handle amputation, whether it's amputation of the legs and all that, because they have to manage, the hematologist will manage the loss of blood, then the anesthetist, then the orthopedic nurse will be there. Then we have the theater nurse will be there. All of them well kitted for the operations. It will look as if they are going to travel to Mars. Safety procedures, management of spills, cleaning, and everything. Then rolling the patients to a special, maybe it's an amenity ward where they are going to keep the person to manage the post-operative procedures and all that. Of course, there are pre-surgical experiences, the tests the examination, the review, and all that before the real process. So these are not things we learned overnight. It has taken a process of time. And we got to know that, oh, this is how the deal is done. Great insurgents of e-materials, e-books, digital books, and of course, the World Wide Web. It has helped us to access materials easily. But you see, initially people were afraid that with the advent of the e-books and all that, that the textbooks, the physical books, will be phased out. But that is far from the truth. Libraries still get their core text and materials. They have the sections for the core text and materials and journals and serials. Then they have the section we call the digital libraries. Polytechnic libraries, university libraries across the countries, they have these sections. But my experience with these digital libraries has been the management of digital libraries, the power situation in Nigeria, and the maintenance culture. Most of the institutions that started with the e-library, they have always come back to complain that these materials, within a short spell of time, because of instability of power. You know, the computers and all the digital infrastructures, they need steady and standby power supplies. Most of them have acquired the solar systems to power these equipments, but truly speaking, it has not been sustainable. Sometimes we had some dubious students vandalize these facilities, and then people always have to fall back on books. With the smartphones now, students can get a lot of materials and all that, and they read, but I can tell you that people who are doing serious research, they come back to us for books. You are doing research, you have to do your references, your bibliography, you have to show evidence, materials you have read, both online and offline. You are doing your doctorate program, master's program, to whatever level. At the level we are now, we believe that we've added value to education, to training, and to teaching. Our next phase now, we're trying to see how we can give back to the society through our interface with like-minded NGOs. We have started our book cafe, all-range book cafe, where we invite people, it's a private library, to come and read and study in a relaxed atmosphere, where you can come in and do your book reviews. If you're a writer, you come in and do your book reviews, review your textbooks. Going forward too, we also have our NGO, which we are working on, that borders on environmental management. We call it the Campaign for Sustainable Environment. This is a program we have been running the last 5 years. We are talking about global warming and climate change. We do environmental education.
My name is SOUQ News. I'm the CEO Gozi Micro Insurance. Continue to watch SOUQ News.
Adenike Adeyemi, Executive Director of Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoin you all to always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hey everyone, Majuli Obaje here representing Gigi. Keep watching SOUQ News, okay? Stay updated with SOUQ News.
My name is Aton Keme. I am the head of MSME banking. Please keep watching SOUQ News and stay glued to SOUQ News.
I recommend that more and more people should watch SOUQ News because they deal with business news.
Hi, my name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the director of the Faith Institute at Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Bring to you the remarkable life of a Nigerian businesswoman who has overcome significant challenges to become one of the most successful entrepreneurs in Africa. Let me tell you about the strength, resilience, and passion for success of a woman who journeyed into the male-dominated world of oil exploration and production. A woman who displayed her love for philanthropic endeavors and her commitment to empowering others, particularly women and young people. This woman is Folorunsho Alakija. It takes only the brave, courageous, and smart-minded people to become rich and influential personalities in the world. In Africa, when we mention the names of rich and powerful women, you must mention the name Folorunsho Alakija, the richest woman in Africa. Her net worth, according to Forbes, is $1 billion. Now, how did she start? Let's take you down memory lane on the life of Folorunsho Alakija. Folorunsho Alakija was born on Sunday, 15th July 1951 to Chief L.A. Ogbara, her father, and Mrs. Ogbara, her mother, who is a businesswoman. She was born into a polygamous family of 8 wives and 52 children. Her mother was the first wife and she was the 8th child of her mother. Young Folorunsho grew up at her family house located at Ido Oluwo Street, Ikorodu, Lagos. She had her nursery education at Our Lady of Apostles Nursery School from 1955 to 1958, also in Lagos. At the age of 7, her parents enrolled her at a primary school in Wales called Dino Ben School for Girls in Wales. She was in that boarding school for 4 years before she returned to Nigeria. After her primary education, she attended Muslim High School, Shagamu, Ogun State in 1963. Well, during the holidays, she would go to her mother's shop to participate in the textile business. She would learn about trading and marketing of textiles. Generally, she learned a lot of tricks about business. After graduation from high school, she enrolled at Pitman Central College, London, to study secretarial studies. In 1974, Folorunsho started her career working as an executive secretary at Sijuade Enterprises. After gaining some experience there, she moved on to First National Bank of Chicago, now First City Monument Bank, working as the executive secretary to the managing director. Later, she was appointed the new head of the Corporate Affairs Department of the International Merchant Bank of Nigeria. formerly First National Bank of Chicago. She moved on in her career to become office assistant to the Treasury Department. After spending 12 years in the banking sector, Folorunsho traveled to London in 1984 to study fashion designing. She studied intensive courses in millinery and fashion design at the American College in London and the Central School of Fashion. When she returned to Nigeria, she established her fashion label called Supreme Stitches. Within 3 weeks of setting up her business, she was invited to take part in a fashion competition. Folorunsho won the competition that brought her straight into the limelight of the fashion industry in Nigeria. Prominent women from different parts of the country started making clothes with her. Her fashion company thrived successfully, and a few years later, she renamed it to the Rose of Sharon House of Fashion, making it a proper fashion line. As her success in fashion grew, she was later made national president of the Fashion Designers Association of Nigeria, FADON, and a lifelong trustee of the association. By the early 1990s, Folorunsho decided it was time to expand her business tentacles to oil and gas. Her company, FAMFA Limited, was incorporated in September 1991. The company applied for an oil prospecting license, OPL, to explore a 617,000-acre block for oil, now OPL 216. In August 1993, the company was awarded the leasehold rights of OPL 216 oil block, and it was renamed officially. FAMFA Oil was changed to FAMFA Oil Limited. Its goal was to be the forefront of indigenous oil and gas exploration and production in Nigeria. Folorunsho got on board the exploration of a major deep water oil field located 1,500 meters off the Niger Delta, the Agbami field. She gained access by partnering with Star Deepwater Petroleum, a subsidiary of Texaco, through a joint venture agreement. FAMFA Oil Limited then appointed Star Deepwater Petroleum as its official technical advisor for the OPL 216 exploration license. The company received 40% of FAMFA's 100% stake, while the remaining 60% was retained by FAMFA and the Alakija family. It was discovered in 1998 by Shell. Star Deepwaters Limited, an affiliate to Chevron, functions as the operator of the field. Through her company, FAMFA, Folorunsho and other companies are oil benefactors of the Agbami field. The Agbami field was first discovered in 1998 but only became active in 2008. Its operations will last throughout 2024. After a majority of its vast reserves would have been extracted, she had to fight back against the government in court for laying claims to a 50% stake in her company. It was initially a 40% stake, but the government later returned for an additional 10%, claiming that the company generated a revenue of $10 million from the oil block. Folorunsho felt it was unfair because her company had worked hard, invested everything in the business. When the fruits of their labor started to manifest, that's when the government took everything away. The Alakija family fought the government in court until they won on May 22, 2012. The first drilling of the Agbami well was done on 15th July 1998. The exploratory well was about 4,700 feet underwater, which was the deepest depth in Nigeria at that time. From the license application to the point of the company's first strike, there was an interval of 17 years. Today, FAMFA Oil Limited is a leading oil and gas exploration company. Folorunsho Alakija has other businesses in property, real estate, and in printing. She owns Dayspring Property Development, a real estate company with investments in different parts of the world. She also owns Digital Reality Print Limited, a printing company and corporate services provider. And in the area of philanthropy, Folorunsho's success story would not be complete without mentioning how she wants to give back to society. She wants to help those in need, Hence, she started the Rose of Sharon Foundation, which was created in 2008. It is a registered faith-based NGO that has empowered widows and their families and orphans to be successful through education programs and scholarships up to the university level within the country, Nigeria. Through Famfa Oil Limited, Folorunsho also hands out yearly scholarships to 9,000 medical and engineering students across the nation. The foundation has also donated a total of 21 chest clinics for the treatment of tuberculosis in 21 states across Nigeria, including the Niger Delta region and Lagos State. They have successfully donated 4 e-libraries and 2 school libraries to schools within the nation. In addition, she has a foundation created to empower women called Flourish Foundation. It encourages women in their different careers and provides grants for female entrepreneurs who want to start a business. Folorunsho is also a writer and has written a few books. For instance, one of the books titled The Cry of Widows and Orphans and The University of Marriage, and also the Folorunsho Alakija Speaks, to mention a few. Now, Folorunsho's personal life would not be complete in this article without mentioning her husband, Mr. Modupe Alakija. Folorunsho and Modupe got married in November 1976. Their marriage is blessed with 4 sons and their grandchildren, and they reside in Lagos, Nigeria. Folorunsho holds so many awards and recognitions for her contribution to society. She holds 6 honorary degrees and a fellowship at the Yaba College of Technology. In July 2013, she was appointed as the Vice Chairman of Nigerian National Heritage Council and Endowment for Arts. She became the first female chancellor in Osun State University and Nigeria's first female chancellor on the 9th of March 2016. She is also one of the Lagos Business School's alumnus and a member of the Commonwealth and Investment Council Advisory Board. She is also an advisory board member for Center of African Studies, Harvard. On July 17, 2021, Benson Idahosa University, Benin City, bestowed on her an honorary doctorate degree in business administration. In conclusion, Folorunsho Alakija's story is a tale of hard work, determination, persistence, and courage. She was able to build up her marriage, raise an upstanding family, and build her empire. She also faced challenges in her life, but she conquered these challenges. She is living proof that success is not limited by gender, age, nationality, or financial backgrounds, but rather success is the product of courage to take risks and stand up strong in the face of adversity.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job. breaks a hole in a stone, not by force, but by consistent dripping. Nothing describes this woman more apt than her indomitable and consistent drive for excellence. Born Bilikisu Abiodun Moturayo Omobalanle Adekola on December 24, 1962, into the family of Alhaji Abdulmoshood Adekola, the first grandson of the first Alhaji in the city of Ibadan, and a Cameroonian mother, Mrs. Hannah Aduke Adekola, in the ancient city of Ibadan, Oyo State. While her mother was still pregnant with her, left for England to further his education. And while she was pretty much young, her mother left the country to go join her husband, to return while she was 8 years. Meanwhile, she was left to be cared for by her grandmother. She was registered in a private boarding primary school at the age of 4.
My parents had me. My father went off to England to go to school before I was born. He left my mother pregnant with me. My mother had me, and before I was a year old, left to join her husband in England, and I was left with my grandmother. I grew up with my grandmother before my parents came back like 8 years after. Spent my first, from about age 4 or 5, I was sent into a boarding nursery school. I lived in boarding school at a very early age because my parents wanted to protect me from becoming a local Ibadan girl.
And she usually attributes these to her early independence and wisdom. Omo Agbanimi, some of her friends sometimes poke fun at her wisdom, which is way beyond her age.
I was raised by my grandmother, so I'm a bit of an old woman in my brain, in how I think, as my friends say.
Her foray into business started at a very young age at her grandmother's shop where she sells salt. Little did she know that this was going to stand her in good stead in life.
My first exposure to business was my grandmother's little shop where she sold salt. And I used to love to sit behind her little kiosk and help her to sell the salt. But who knew I was being trained for business in my future?
While at secondary school, she participated in the literary debating group, excelling in it, which made her consider a career in law, though that didn't last. Also, it is worthy of note that Ibukun Awoshika could hold her own in athletics, earning her the nickname Rabbit because she could really run.
As an athlete, if you want to run, and I used to be fast, they used to call me the Rabbit.
Unsure of what career path she was going to settle for, she considered becoming many things at one point or the other of her life. After secondary school, she thought of becoming a medical doctor, but she couldn't stand the sight of a cadaver, so she let go of that idea. Later on, architecture was another fancy that caught her attention. Similarly, she also considered becoming a chartered accountant. Finally, only see she could work in a bank.
I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Then I found out that they work with real dead bodies. I changed my mind very quickly. I then thought, you know what? I'd like to be an architect. I was good in sciences and had a problem if parents sentence you to science when you're good at both. So I ended up in Ife to study chemistry. By the end of my first year, I realized how much I hated chemistry. I could pass it, but I didn't love it. So then I thought, you know, I'd make a good lawyer. I debated throughout school. I used to represent my school in school's debate. So everybody knows that I can win an argument. So I gave it everything trying to change to law. I used to go and sit outside the door of the dean of law. And then one day the man said, come, what do you want? I want to change to law. Is that why you've been sitting outside of my office? Yes, sir. Okay, if I only take one person from another department next year, it will be you.
After the completion of her undergraduate degree at the University of Ife, She went for the compulsory one-year National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) in Kano State, where she worked as an all-day trainee at Akitola Williamson Co., which later became Deloitte.
For youth service, I did everything to make sure they sent me to an accounting firm. They first sent me to a Muslim school to go and teach. That was easy to solve. I just wore a dress off my shoulder. I went to report. I was immediately rejected. Once they rejected me, I went back to the posting room and waited there for days until they sent me to Akintola Williams & Co.
Although she was later given full employment after a service year, she felt becoming an accountant wasn't a thing.
You would have thought that having done or gone through all that trouble, accounting would be the love of my life. When I got there, within the 1 year of my youth service, I realized how boring accounting is to me. Because they had all the processes somebody else had thought about before. All I had to do was open old dusty files from company to company without imagination or initiative. I'm a very restless human being. That was not going to work. So I finished the work. I did well. They offered me permanent employment, but I said, thank you, but no thank you. Why? Because at that moment, I had come to a realization that that was not the vision for my life.
After returning home, she joined Alibert Nigeria Limited, a furniture company, as showroom manager. In a word, only to kill time. She only stayed for 3.5 months. She left to begin a furniture manufacturing company called Quibis Limited in 1989, just months before her 26th birthday. The company later grew into SOUQ Chair Center Limited, following a venture merger with SOUQ SA and Guarantee Trust Bank in 2004.
But the first job I could find 1 week after was in a furniture company. So I went there to kill time. My kill time project has resulted in 30 years of investment of my life in building a manufacturing group in furniture. So it was never the plan of my life. So some of you will accidentally find your purpose.
One could only wonder what had led her not only to compete, but to thrive in a male-dominated terrain. With over 30 years in business, Ibukun Awoshika is a woman to reckon with, encouraging more women to participate in the business terrain. Her passion to see the girl child not just to be educated, but much more to learn to own our own value and trade with it when there is need for it. Her lifelong ambition is to see herself die empty.
My biggest ambition in life is to die empty. Totally empty. That no talents, no giftings, no opportunities, nothing that I was born to do, that I have the capacity to do, that I do not do.
Following her remarkable achievements, she's been conferred with different doctorates, including one in business, entrepreneurship and human capacity development from the Lagos State University, Ojo. Similarly, she was given a honorary doctorate of business administration from the Obafemi Awolowo University and another from the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye, Ogun State. Apart from our entrepreneurial prowess, Ibukun Awoshika is an ordained minister of the gospel, a presenter, writer, and a TV host.
The Bible tells us that let every man be what? A liar. And let who alone be true? Let God alone be true.
She hosts a television program called Business His Way. Also, she acted in the 2020 Kunle Afolayan movie titled Citation, which in addition to the book she had written, including Business His Way, The Girl Entrepreneur, The Girls in the Boardroom, and My Thoughts in Codes. In 2004, she earned a certification in Business Administration and Management from the IESE Business School. She's also the chairperson of the Novel Nigeria Office for Philanthropy and Impact Investment. She has consistently encouraged women to take up more leadership positions without compromising their values and integrity. In 2005, she was appointed the MD CEO of SOUQ SA of France. GTB PLC, the Chair Center Limited, and some local investors after the ban of the importation of furniture by the federal government of Nigeria in 2004. Furthermore, it is noteworthy to note that she independently established another ultra-modern furniture facility, Furniture Manufacturers Mart in Ikeja, Lagos. In 2008, she was among 5 Nigerian entrepreneurs who appeared in the first African version of the Dragon's Den. Unlike a great deal of others who knew exactly what they wanted to do from the beginning, she admitted to accidentally finding purpose. Ibukun Awoshika is a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, a member of the board of Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund, a former chairperson of the Board of Trustees of Women in Management, Business and Public Service, and a member of the IESC's International Advisory Board. Furthermore, she sits on the board of Digital Jewelry Limited and Cabri Nigeria PLC. Additionally, she's a fellow of the African Leadership Initiative and Aspen Global Leadership Network. History was made on the 7th day of September 2015. Following the resignation of Prince Ajibola Afonja, she became the first female chair of the First Bank of Nigeria in its 126 years of existence. Ibukun Awoshika's Octo-Nigerian father, Abdul Moshood Adekola, who was a great influence in her life, passed on the 20th April 2020 after serving the Lord as an usher at the Fountain of Life Church in Idupeju. He was a Muslim convert. He was converted few days before his 60th birthday. She got married on her 28th birthday to Abiodun Awoshika, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Excel Exploration and Production Company Limited, and they are blessed with 3 fine young men, Oludola, Olufishika, and Olamiposi. To celebrate a life of impact at 60, friends and mentees surprised Awoshika by building the Ibukun Awoshika Sports Center